Dr. Ned, we have finally made this happen. It wasn't going to happen there for a period, but we're here, and I'm super grateful that you've made the trip out here.
Thank you very much for having me on. No, it's a pleasure.
Now, you haven't shown much of this, but you sent me some photos and videos the other day of what happened, and this conversation nearly didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to you before about the joys of business.
Yeah.
How do we push past that stuff?
Man, it's you obviously any business owner would tell you, you're gonna have your ups and downs. A lot of people don't see the downs, but yeah, you gotta literally push through. And in the moment, whatever's happening, like one of the clinics obviously got flooded the other day. From that flash, the storm that we had, the big supercell that went through one of the areas, and within half a day, got to get it done. You sort it out, move on. That's it. Don't dwell on anything that's it's going to hold you back. So
that's a big thing that I've learned through business, is that like you can only control so much, and especially like the weather, you can't control that, but you can control how you react to those situations.
Exactly.
And for you to in a way stay calm.
Yeah.
I know when it first happened, you would have been like, what the hell is happening? But to stay calm and then get on top of it and get it sorted out, that's what it takes to build businesses and be successful, if you want to term it, in material ways in life.
Yeah.
But why I wanted to get you on here is people see your social media, right?
Okay.
You're cracking everyone in, doing all these body alignments and having these conversations with your amazing clients. But not many people know who you are.
Yeah.
Now, where I want to start this is every story has a beginning.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of pivotal moments throughout our upbringing that really shape us into who we are today. If you were to look back at that upbringing that you had, what were some of those pivotal moments that you feel really shaped the man that sits in front of us?
So just going back at how it all started. So my parents have been here 55 years now in Australia, migrants from Lebanon. And 55 years ago, and then they decided 40 years ago to head over to America, where all their family was, Pittsburgh and Miami. And that's where I was born. And, stayed there for a couple of years. Now, I had a little bit of an interesting story about what happened. So I was a twin. My brother was born. I was born. I was the unhealthy one, as if you want to choose, say, twin A, twin B, I was twin B, the unhealthy one. And they brought me back to mum, and they didn't bring my brother back. And they just told mum, he's, unfortunately he's passed away. So she's, to be honest with you, I'm kind of like mum as well, where she was like, okay, but how's this baby, is he doing all right? Yeah, just be thankful that, at least this one's good. But and then obviously the next step was, okay, let's deal with my son, the one that passed away, and they refused to show her. And she's always obviously had it in her head that no, he's probably still around, because it did happen a fair bit, like back in the 80s in America, and babies were going missing for who knows what reason, but they definitely refused to show her the baby or anything to do with it. It was full term. He was alive when he came out, that's for sure, because by cesarean and everyone heard him. But they only got me back. So so I still kind of have, as a twin, and everyone asks me, I do have that, that feeling that maybe he's still out there.
Yeah, they say twins have like a connection.
And I don't know. Obviously, I've never seen him or spoken to him, but there's definitely there's some sort of a connection out there. So I believe he may still be around, but there's obviously something also holding me back from checking it all out, and I don't know what that is. So, but and maybe that's got a lot to do with how I try to deal with things in my life. And then we ended up coming back to Australia, raised in Bankstown and Punchbowl.
Yep.
And went to Punchbowl Boys High School. And to be honest with you, I would put it down to my mother, the community, and that school in particular to shape me in the person who I am today.
How do you feel that school shaped you?
It was, look, it's my wife also. She's actually a teacher. She used to teach at Punchbowl Boys as well, and she would say the same thing. You know, this is coming from a teacher's perspective, and the connection that the boys have there, especially with their teachers and with each other. Like, I still catch up with pretty much nearly everybody in my year, you know, that was there, and anyone that we knew there. And there's definitely that community connection, and we're so tight knit. And look, it was a hard couple of years. That's when I'm not sure if you remember, there was a lot happening. You know, back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Was that Cronulla riots and stuff, or?
Yeah, just before that, but it was more the like the gang rapes. You know, a few shootings, stabbings. Nothing happened like kind of in front of me, but it was all associated with Punchbowl and Bankstown. And
always had to be on edge, schools, and be aware of everything.
Yeah, we were going through a lot, you know, as not just as students from Punchbowl Boys, more as a community.
Mm.
And it's like we had to prove ourselves that, no, this is, all right, you know, you can have a couple of, you know, ugly ducklings that, you know, will tarnish the name, but no, we still get good guys and good girls coming out of each community and out of each school. And I think that's what made us into the people who we are today. It's like we had to prove it to a different level. And yeah, it was difficult. It was difficult going through, you know, my HSC. It was probably the hardest years of my life. And that's when I was saying, what if I went to another school, you know, how much easier would it have been? But guess what? You know, I would not trade it for anything else, for what I went through and how it shaped me into the man I am. And, you know, obviously we had no money. We had, you know, it was kind of like a forced thing that we had to go through. And yeah, what a journey.
How many siblings do you have?
So I've got 2 brothers and 1 sister.
Okay. I'm curious, like going back to, you know, the story you just shared around being born as twins and one, we don't know what happened, right? What impact did you see that had on your mum and how she acted in the household then? Because that would have taken a big toll on any mother losing a child, and then not knowing exactly what happened. Did that affect how she turned up as a mum for you guys?
Look, everyone, you know, I am really, really close to mum, you know, and I think a lot of people probably saw that from when I was young. And that's probably got a lot to do with also how she maybe treated me as well. Maybe as like an insecurity type of thing.
It's like a trauma bond.
Yeah, you know, and that's, obviously that was fine with me as well. And, you know, and obviously my, you know, siblings or anyone else probably think, you know.
Mummy's boy.
Yeah, mummy's boy, or got, you know, favoritism. You know, nothing was said, you know, if I ever came back late at night or anything like that. But I think it definitely shaped it. But she's strong, man. You know, so definitely had an impact like that, but I think in a good way.
Yeah. You still got a strong relationship with her now?
Very.
Yeah.
Very strong. We
speak about your mum.
Yeah.
Your dad was in the picture?
He was in the picture. He he's passed on now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. He passed on in 2006, but he was in and out of the picture a lot. So they obviously had, you know, conflicting issues. You know, he was a gambler. He was a big gambler on the horses, and that obviously affected the family bond. But you know what? Mum just kept on trying to mend things, you know, as per se. But obviously, you know, it affects, you know, the relationship, you know. But yeah, so it was obviously touch and go. And, but yeah, never, you know, I was really lucky. Obviously, there was just a little bit of like, you know, verbal violence.
Yeah.
But nothing physical that we'd ever see, which is lucky, you know. And yeah, she obviously wanted my dad to always be there, you know, because of the kids, you know, growing up, having a father figure and that. But yeah, he passed away at like 59 with dementia,
Yeah,
which is
okay.
really young, you know, to have dementia. And that was nearly 18 years ago now.
It's a cruel disease, dementia.
Yeah, it's I've seen a lot of people go through it, but no one ever that young, you know, 59.
What are some of the good memories you remember of your dad, or some of the lessons that he passed on to you?
Everyone obviously, you know, says if you were to compare you to your mum or your dad, obviously I was more like my dad in terms of like I'm really calm. You know, if there's a, you know, if there's a storm and there's a cyclone happening right outside us, it'll just be like, yeah, you know, we'll just, you know, just keep calm and collected and just move on. So I've taken that quality on, you know, from him as well. And yeah, just calm. You know, it's never, yeah, he obviously really nice memories like that. But yeah, kind of like as a, you know, yeah, because I was, you know, I just finished uni, you know, by the time, you know, he passed away. So he passed away actually on my last exam.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, the night before it. So, and we buried him straight after
Yeah.
my exam. I had to do the exam between the day he died, like, because we bury pretty much.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Literally
That's what
within
I
24 hours.
respect about the Muslim
Yeah.
religion. Is like
Yeah.
you pass away and you're getting buried the next day.
Well, as quick as possible.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, he passed away, and then the next day we were washing him, and
Did you wash him?
yeah. So what happened was I had to do. So it was my last exam, and if I couldn't pass this exam, I had to wait a whole year again. It was my last exam of everything.
Yep.
And you can't get qualified, you know, as a chiropractor unless you obviously pass this. Mm-hmm. And I was lucky enough that my brother's delayed his washing just for an hour or two, so I can actually do my exam and come in and, you know, I honestly don't know how I did it, but I passed it.
Yes.
And it was amazing. And then I literally had to switch off in that moment, you know, doing my, you know, yeah, it wasn't easy, but, you know, maybe that's something that, you know, obviously my mum taught me as well, like, just try to do, and she supported me, my brother supported me as well, and just finish, you know, let's just do it, you know.
I'm curious, take me back to that moment actually where you finish your exam and then you got to rush off to then wash your dad.
Yeah.
What is that experience like, washing your dad? Like, I had this conversation with Armin Harachi, and he washes like from babies and everything like that. And I was like, I don't know how you do that. For you to then go from your exam to then washing your dad, what's that experience like? I know it would have been full of emotions, but what are you experiencing in that moment?
And I think everyone will kind of agree with me on this point, that you get this strength, and we have no idea where it comes from, you know, other than God. You know, I truly believe that, and it doesn't hit you. It actually doesn't hit you. When you need to do it, you need to do it.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and that's what I'm saying. Like, even doing my exam, you know, or watching him, it's, you know, you get this strength. Of course, you're emotional, you know, but honestly, I think it hits probably about 4 days later, and then, you know, if it takes a year to grieve over someone, let it be a year. If it takes 10 days, let it be 10 days. But every single person is different. No matter what you tell them, in that moment, it's not going to help them, because everyone is unique. And, but yeah, we just had to do it. Yeah, and done with, and, you know, we buried him because, you know, that's what we believe, you know, just, you know, and yeah, it has to happen.
Yeah.
You know, that quickly, and so the grieving process can start as well.
What's your piece of advice for someone that is going through that grieving process? You know, we just touched on everyone grieves in different ways, but what would you say to someone that's going through a grieving process right now?
Not about not listening to anyone. Obviously, everyone that gives you advice is giving you advice in a good way. Like, obviously, they're opening their heart to you and trying to make you feel better. Don't get upset. Doesn't mean you need to take on their advice. But you grieving is going to be completely different to anyone else grieving. And don't think like, oh, why am I taking so long? Or why am I grieving in this way? Why am I grieving like that? Everyone is obviously different. So you need to do things in a certain way, just do it. And be comfortable that that's you. You know, and you grieving over your mother compared to your father is going to be different as well. And don't let anyone make you feel like it's not okay, or you need to get over it, or you know. And you know what? You may get over it quicker if someone just doesn't say anything. You know, but yeah, be long-term positive.
Yeah.
That you will feel better eventually.
Yeah.
And who knows how long that's going to take.
As you speak into that, what comes to mind is I lost my granddad at the beginning of last year. Now, I never had a strong connection with him, but obviously my mum had a really strong connection with him. Yeah. So our grieving processes were a lot different. And for me, through that period, I was trying to understand, like, why is this process different for different people? And it's like, she had a really strong connection with him. She lost her dad. So for her to go through that, it's a lot more stronger than what I had to go through. Mm. But then if I lost my partner or my daughter, it'd be so much more stronger. You know what I mean? And it's just not judging how other people deal with grief. It's being there, it's supporting them, but understanding that everyone's process is different.
Exactly.
Some may take, as you said, 10 days, 6 months, 12 months, years. You just don't know. But you just need to be there and support them throughout that journey too. Yeah. I think it's so important.
Definitely.
You mentioned God and pulling strength from God.
Yeah.
You're a man of faith. What is your relationship with the man upstairs?
I think it's very unique. I'll always strive to be better. I'd love to better my relationship with God. And you know, I'm sure a lot of people can resonate as well. You know, even sometimes the smallest of things, you know, we reach out to God obviously when we need him the most as well, you know, when we're in vulnerable positions. And the most important part is actually trying to reach out to God when I'm not in a vulnerable position, which I think tests my relationship with him. Yeah. And I think that's really important. And not to say like, oh, I'm using him or, you know, but I think that way when I do want to reach out to God, when I really, really need him, then I feel like it's a closer relationship. It's hard. It's definitely not easy, especially like when you can't see.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, obviously, you know, a lot of people would say the same thing. If you can't see, how you going to... But then that's about faith, and that's how, not just about how you've been raised, it's, you know, I think it's very important.
Has there been periods of your life where you question, is he real or not?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. It's, you know, obviously, you know, the question came up when I was a kid, you know, who created God, you know, which honestly probably shouldn't even be asked as a human because we're not capable of even answering that. So why should I ask that? But as a kid, you're curious. You know, where I was raised in, you know, in a Muslim household, you know, beautiful upbringing like that. But naturally, I wanted to ask that question, and there's nothing wrong with it. You know, we're advised to seek out, you know, different answers. It's not just about, here you go, accept this. No, absolutely explore anything you want. And that's the beauty of Islam, is that the reality is you can ask absolutely anything you want, and there is always an answer with no ambiguity. And even if you're searching, or if you're, you know, searching for, you know, your different faiths, you know, looking into books and, you know, of, you know, say the Torah or the Bible, the Old Testament, or, you know, or comparing, just in the Quran, there's an answer, and it's pretty straightforward. And that's why yeah, that's why with my faith, I think it's really important that if there's questions like that that come up, who's going to answer that for you? Stephen Hawkins can't even answer that, you know. So sometimes as a human, you're not capable of actually even accepting an answer like that, like who created God. So is it going to help you in your, you know, in your journey? Probably not. So let's go.
I'm curious, have you looked into other religions to better understand, or?
Look, it definitely, that's part of my, you know, as I was growing up, you know, I'm not, you know, if you want to say it like a religious, you know, religious figure or, but yeah, of course I've had questions. I've looked into, you know, different answers. I've always been curious about, you know, why is the Old Testament so similar to the Quran and, you know, the Torah? Like, why is it very similar, but then why is it so different now? Like, you know, especially because of the New Testament, and how did that happen? But yeah, I've obviously, you know, gone through all that and still go through. Yeah, and that's fine. You know, but you just got to have the right people as well, and not just Google things.
Yeah.
Ask the right people. Make sure the answers that you're getting are obviously not just correct, but you're getting it from the right, just getting it from the right people.
And for someone that's on a journey of, you know, seeking to understand faith or religion, and not any specific religion, but what would your advice be to them on seeking truth, seeking the right answers, finding that community where you can get those answers from?
Yeah, look, it's that's what I'm saying. So the first thing is obviously not to Google things.
Yeah.
You know, unless you've got a very specific question, and don't go off forums. You know, they're just going to put you off track. There's proper figures. I'm talking like proper religious figures, as per se. If you want to look into everything, look into, if you're really on a journey, you know, say about the Bible or the Torah or, you know, the Quran, and ask the same question and see what the go is. Okay, even like simply put, you know, if you want to say, okay, why did we pray, you know, for example, like bowing our head down and prostrating, you know, and, you know, if you want to say it like Muslims, we still do that. Christians, you know, you probably just kneel down on your knees and pray to God. It's all about, obviously, your connection with that. You know, and different books do it differently, but it's actually said in every single book. Prostrate down and put your head down, you know, on the ground. So a lot of people still say that the Quran is old-fashioned, but it's not about change like that. That's it. It's a book that's been ordained for us as humans. It's not about change. You know, it's been, we're destined. And that's what I'm trying to say. There's an answer in absolutely every question you've got. So just refer back onto that.
Yeah.
And it's really clear cut.
That's one thing that I've realized on this journey is how connected all these religions are. Like, for example, Moses, right?
Yep.
He's brought up in Christianity, Islam, in the Torah as well.
Judaism,
like,
yep.
So all these figures, even Jesus is mentioned in the Quran.
Of course. He's
So, like,
one of our most respected prophets.
Yeah.
Peace be upon him.
So it's all connected, but then very different at the same time too. And I think for a lot of people, it throws them off because they're like, what do I believe?
Yep.
I ask these questions, but what book do I go to seek the answers? You know, if there was for you one guiding principle or passage from the Quran that you had to use for the rest of your life, what would that be?
Heaven's gates are at the mother's feet.
You want to explain that? What does that mean to you?
Mate, there is absolutely no chance of entering heaven if you can't have that proper connection with your mother. Your mother means absolutely everything. Not to say your dad isn't, but for the Quran to say that specifically about a female figure in your life, especially about the mother, that says a lot. Yeah.
Is that why you have such a strong connection with your mum?
100%.
I can feel emotions coming up for you right now. And I love that.
Yeah,
we should all have a strong
special,
connection with our mum.
Yeah.
Both our parents, but
Yeah.
our mother is the one who brought us into this world.
Yeah.
Without women, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't, it's okay. Take this opportunity to try to, mend things. We all go through things, and that's fine. But for the Quran to mention that so specifically, and it's not just like, obviously it's a key, it's, you're just going to get, key if she's happy with you. It's not about that. It's, you got to live your whole relationship like that. And it's the way you live your life. Who else other than your own mother wants better for you?
Yeah. No matter what you do, they're always going to be there for you.
That's it.
You commit murder and they're still going to back you up.
Exactly.
The conversation with mothers has actually been brought up a fair few times recently in podcasts around, showing them respect and always having a strong relationship with them. I know there's some relationships that are hard with your parents.
Of course.
But for me, I've always been a mummy's boy as well. But I felt like as I've grown up, I've kind of drifted away a bit.
Okay.
And I'm on that journey of trying to build that strong relationship again, because I feel it is very important to have a relationship with your parents, but especially your mum, because as I said, they're the ones that bring you into this world. What would be your advice to someone that wants to have a strong connection with their mum, that they may feel a bit distant right now, but that love's always going to be there? How do we reconnect, or how do we build a stronger relationship?
Go into it and block absolutely everything out when you go in to try to mend this. Block everything that you've had been told about why you're upset with your mum, or why she's actually directly upset you. Try to block that and go in there with a fresh mind and a fresh outlook as to how you're gonna, help this, and how she can be part of your life until either she passes away or until you pass away.
You say block what happened previously. Do you feel like we should bring it up and have those conversations?
I think you should probably honestly never bring it up in the early stages.
Yeah.
Because what's that going to do other than cause acute tension? Okay, so I'm not saying to deny it. You will get answers out of it, but you need to at least form that little bit of a nice, strong relationship at the start. And then as you mature that relationship, talk about it. How good would it be to talk about it after you've matured, say, after a month of, come see the kids, let's do this, I'm going to go and have a coffee with you. And then after a month, Mum, would you mind if you just answer something for me now that or would you rather say it on day one?
Yeah.
Come on, it's not rocket science how we should deal with things, especially it's a mother. And the same thing with her as well. And she'll probably bring that up to you straight away.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they can't control the emotion as well. But we try to, as, children, we should probably hold back on that. Let them say what they like. Not to say you can't argue back, but I think if it's going to come from the child, let it happen later on. And just listen to her, listen to what she has to say.
Has there been any questions that you've held back on?
In terms of like with my own mother?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm pretty close with her, so she's kind of like my best mate as well. So honestly, it's anytime I've ever wanted to ask something, yeah. But we don't really talk about what I was saying about with my brother.
Yeah.
I haven't really opened up that can of worms, and I kind of maybe don't want to because she's quite strong with it.
Yeah.
So maybe that. But yeah, everything else, I think she's an open book, and everyone knows her as that.
Yeah. So with what happened with your brother, that hasn't been mentioned kind of since?
No.
She's bottled that up?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that bottle will burst one day?
No. Yeah, I've never felt that. Maybe she's convinced herself that, he did pass away and that's it. And that's what I mean. Like maybe, so why should I really approach that again? Why should I put that question into her mind? And, so maybe if anything, maybe I should find out. And then if it's true or if it's not true, then I can tell her.
But you said you're holding off on that too.
Yeah.
I'm very curious. Like, I feel like you got an inkling like as to why you don't want to do it. It's like do you not want to know the truth?
Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe if, let's just say if I did find him, I feel like, I missed out on, 41 years of being with this guy. Like, like what a champion. He won't look like me because apparently he's not identical.
Yep.
But yeah, imagine missing out. So, but then again, obviously I'd want to really...
But then you got the rest of your life
exactly,
to build that relationship too.
And look, I'm not that type of person that would be like, I wish, or what would have, what could have happened, if he lived like this. No, I think I'm pretty good like that. But I went and I asked, my wife and I went and actually, we had to go to the National Archives in America, and that kind of put us off a little bit, to be honest with you. So they said his records and everything are all there. So,
because the question that comes to me is like, when your time's up on this earth, do you feel like you have regret not seeking the truth on that?
I think so. I think so. That's something that, I will definitely want to do. But look, I've been talking about it for the last, probably 15 years properly.
Yeah.
It's definitely, but yeah, I think like with these type of things, you kind of have to be there as well.
Yeah.
And if I ever am going to America, it's maybe I'll do a little bit of work or,
who knows? He could be in Australia. We just
who
don't
knows,
know.
Yeah, exactly. But naturally you'd think.
You would think.
Maybe stay. Yeah, true, Because I was born there, but look where I am.
You don't know what the hell, what's happening in the world. So
imagine he's one of my patients.
That would be weird. But yeah, I like to have these conversations because I always think about like what's our thought process at the end of our life, and like will we have regret of the things that we didn't seek, And for me personally, it would be really hard going through that, but within me now and not being through that, but I would feel that I would have regret not seeking the truth there and trying to at least find him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think we will all have that.
Yeah.
But it's but yeah, I just got to pull myself and do something.
But our past written for us. If it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. I believe.
Of course, we believe in that.
Now, from faith to family, you're a big family man. You got two beautiful kids, a beautiful wife.
Thank you.
What do they mean to you?
Mate, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything. They I'm honestly on top of the world, and I always used to tell my mother when I was growing up, and even when at uni days, and all, they're like, don't even mention kids to me, and I honestly, I just don't want to. I don't want to get married or anything like that. I wanted to obviously partying. I wanted to travel. I wanted to obviously set myself up in business and learn and educate myself. And I just always thought, it's going to be a block. you know, but man, what a change.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you could probably resonate with that as well.
Yeah, for me, I was at an interesting point. How was I, 25, 24, 25 when I
Yeah.
found out. And I'm still trying to find out who I was at that period. And I couldn't even look after myself. So, like, how am I going to look after a baby?
Yeah, man.
And I went through a bit of a dark patch there, like
Okay.
just asking myself questions like, fuck, how am I going to do this? Am I going to be a good dad?
Yeah.
And when it comes to the time of their birth, they're brought into this world and you hold your own flesh and blood. It's like, it's a whole new level of love that only dads can understand. Like, you can't explain it. It's just that unconditional, deep love. Like, you love your parents, you love your mum, you love your partner, but your children, it's just on another level. And for me, and I'm sure it is for you, but that they're a big driving force for what you do.
Of course.
In saying that, you know, as men, we want to build, we want to conquer, right? How do you balance chasing your goals but still being that family man? Especially when starting new businesses and building businesses, there's a lot of sacrifices that have to be made.
Yeah.
How do you still be there for them?
Yeah, and look, it's important that you, I think that you bring this up as well, because and one thing I always tell a lot of my staff is, look, you can risk things when you're living with your parents, when you're single. When I say risk things, I'm talking about like probably starting up your career. Not to say you shouldn't start your career after you get kids and all that, but it's a little bit easier. And I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me with that. But balancing is quite difficult. But if you have your partner on side with you, man, the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
You know, and there's challenging times, of course. You know, you obviously when the kids get sick, when multiple things can happen. But if you've got your partner on your side and making sure that your vision is the same as her vision, and you guys are aligned together in the way you guys are raising your kids, I think that's important. That you both agree, and then the kids are raised with you guys, you know, with the same principles behind you.
Was your relationship always like that, where you were on the same vision, same path, or was there a rocky road where, you know, you weren't aligned there?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it wasn't, I don't know if I'd say it was a rocky road, but definitely it was, you know, I like with my wife, I think it was probably, you know, 6 to 8 months until we got engaged.
Yeah,
so it was really quick.
Yep.
And then another 6 months until we got married. So altogether it was only probably a year, and then I moved in with her, you know, after we got married. So we really didn't get to know each other until after we got married.
Yeah,
properly,
okay.
you know, and, you know, moving in.
Why move so quickly? Just the feelings and emotions?
Yeah,
or?
I know. I think, you know, when they say obviously it's, you could have a relationship with, for say 15, 20 years with someone. And then sometimes when you move in with someone, it's different.
Yeah.
So to me, it was like, okay, first of all, it's a religious factor.
Yep.
Cultural, respect for her parents. Nothing's going to happen before marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell, is this someone that I'm going to accept for who they are and not change? And if that's a yes, then you go for gold.
Yeah.
Do not ever think you're going to change someone.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel that, if you've got any bit of a hesitation that you're going to change that person, it's not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important.
What has she taught you?
She's taught me to be a bit more observant. I'm, you know, in a very good way, and she's taught me to not have pride, which is very important as well. So she's humbled me a lot.
Yeah, okay.
I think I was quite humble, but she's brought me to another level, and everyone knows my wife as as being like that as well, and and now I think a lot of people see us as being a bit similar, and I'm a bit more spoken, whereas before I would be bottling things in, and she just couldn't take that. Man. So I've learned how to communicate a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how to communicate my emotions. That was a no-go zone for me.
Was that because, like, through your upbringing, your dad being in and out of the picture, he wasn't, like, emotionally there as much for you to see how it was to express your feelings?
Possibly. But I always said also that if something's going on in my life, why should I communicate that to you and make you feel bad as well? How is that going to help me? Why should I make two people feel bad about one person's problem? That was my theory all the time. And that's why I never thought, why should I talk about it for someone?
Yeah.
And I think I dealt with it anyway. Like everyone's got a different way of dealing with things, but that was my way. But then I noticed that, if I did say it to the right people, it would help immensely. And it's okay to reach out.
100%.
Yeah.
Especially as men, like,
Yeah.
I feel like there used to be a really bad stigma around men opening up.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I feel, well, through my experience and through doing this podcast and having the conversations that I do with a lot of men, it's okay to open up.
Yeah.
Like, we all go through shit.
Man,
we all have struggles.
Yeah.
We don't have to bottle it up. And I'm a big believer in vulnerability breeds vulnerability.
Yeah.
And in saying that, vulnerability is not weak. It's actually strength. It's not sitting here sulking and crying about all your feelings. It's like, okay, I've gone through this. This is how it affected me. But like, okay, this is how I can come out the other side to be a stronger version of myself instead of just bottling it up and playing victim. We as men can sit here and speak about our feelings and emotions. And it needs to happen a lot more.
And that's okay, mate.
And I see that through a lot of your content too.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And having the conversations you do with your clients.
Yeah.
What made you go down that path of connecting with your clients on that level?
Mate, it's amazing. And look, I'm pretty close with Ahmed Harachi, Billy Dib, and we're all big on that as well. And I think it's important, not just as an Islamic community. I feel like just in a community in general. I used to be big on, Are You Okay Day as well.
Yep.
And it's fine. Just talk about it. There's help. And I always say treatment in my rooms is half of what we do. The majority of the reason why you get better is because you have that trust in who's treating you. You let that emotion out. Emotion comes out in physical pain as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people will agree with that as well. And not to say like we're counsellors or psychologists, but if we can get you to trust us in helping you in different aspects, I'll get you any help you want. You just got to tell me. I may not necessarily help you with your problem, but open up to me, and I'll make you open up to me in the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
And if you can let me in, I'll guarantee I'll get you at least half better. And I'll guide you. I'll guide you to the right people. I'll guide you to the right professionals. And if I can do my part physically on you as well, mate, and it's all done. And that's my vision.
That's what I love about business owners like yourself.
Yeah.
Like it's more than just getting your body cracked in alignments and chiropractic practices, the big saying is people buy from people.
Yeah.
And through business, if you're connecting with clients and you're building a relationship there, who are they going to come back to?
Yeah.
You. Because they trust you.
Yeah.
Who are they going to refer their friends to? You.
Exactly.
So it all comes back to how you make that person feel.
Yeah.
Not only through the service that you provide for them, but like through the conversation as well. Yeah. And it's so pivotal, and that's why I love what you're about, because you are in the community and you are, working with big names. you mentioned pride and ego before, right? Working with, seeing you had Spenyon on, Armin Harachi, the wrestling team, as well as, it was Justin Bieber, Kim Kardashian, all those people. Yeah. How do you not get lost in ego and pride of, I'm the man, I'm working with these guys, and stay grounded throughout that period and still stay connected to faith?
Look, it's very important. People always ask, how did it feel, treating this person? How did it feel touring with, Bieber on the tour in Australia? It first came to when I was touring with those particular celebrities. I made sure that they felt in one way that I had no idea who they were. And that was something I walked in with. And if I could, I wasn't like, kind of like a bit, so as soon as I walk into the rooms, you got to have that face. Don't be starstruck.
Yeah.
Obviously I know who this guy is.
You didn't put him on a pedestal. No, they're just a human.
Honestly, and, but I didn't treat him otherwise either. Like, as in, I didn't treat him, the opposite. These guys are my patients. They've called me for a reason. I've gone in and I've helped them. And the word of mouth spread from there. But then when it comes back to now, say, for example, like, putting pride on, because I've worked on this guy or because I've worked on that guy. The information and the skill that I gave that particular celebrity is absolutely no different to something I'd give you.
Yeah.
Why would it be?
Was there ever a period you got caught up in the fame of working with those people?
Maybe it was just when I would say probably my favourite would have been the Justin Bieber tour.
Yeah.
When it was, say, when we weren't getting treated or, I wasn't working like any of the team. Just going into the studios and, pretty much it was part of the entourage and going through that. But that's, so obviously it was fun doing that. But now that I can't think of any other, it's pretty cool. And, the WWE team, absolutely love working with them. They're champions, the guys and the girls. But there's a lot of them I don't even know their names.
Yeah, okay.
Honestly, I never was really into wrestling. And I think that helps a lot when you're actually treating them because you're not really talking about, what happened here and what happened there. So absolutely no conversation comes up about anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm
curious, how did you even get to this level of being able to work with these kind of people?
It all started, I think, with my first ever was Justin Bieber.
How did you land that?
Yeah. Honestly, it was by chance, and I think he was in Sydney. I got called up early in the morning, and he hurt himself, and he had a couple of sold out ticket concerts coming up in Sydney and Melbourne, like the next day. I think he had just finished off the Brisbane leg, and they were gonna do the rest. And they said they called me. And I think it came through an intermediate person who knew me as well, and just and I ended up, within I think 4 or 5 hours, I was with him, and the tour, and the whole point of being called there and working on him on tour was to make sure that particular injury, I can't say what it was, but it was a really bad injury, to make sure that he could perform in his concerts and no one find out what was wrong with him.
Yeah.
So that was my job. To make sure that concert would not be called off, because it was pretty bad, and the media would not find out.
Very important job.
Man, that was hard. But
were you under the pump?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was working on him, I think, at least physically hands-on, 16 hours a day.
Really?
On him. And then I did the rest of the team as well. So you can imagine how much sleep we had.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, because I only had days. It
Mm.
wasn't even like a week or anything like that. It was just days to work on him, and that was like, I think it was like 3 or 4 days before my wedding as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
God.
so that was good. That was interesting.
See
But
what
yeah, and then a word of mouth went
Yeah.
from, within the touring, the management. Worked with Kanye, Kim Kardashian. They're just
It's funny
Yeah,
how
knock on
all it
wood,
takes
yeah.
is just that one opportunity,
Yeah.
and then for you to go out there and be your best self.
Yeah.
It opens so many different doors after that. And anyone listening to this who's in business,
Yeah.
who's looking for, promotion in their job or whatever the case is just go out there and do your best work, because you never know who's watching.
Exactly.
You never know what they're going to
Yeah.
say to someone else that could provide you an opportunity to go to that next level.
Yeah.
I think that's a very pivotal thing that everyone takes on board. And in saying that, with the people that you've worked with, what have been some of the lessons that you've learnt from working with those high profile people?
At the end of the day, humble yourself.
Mm.
That's man, I say that. I say that every day, and whenever I work with them, when I say humble yourself, and I'm talking about like at the end of the day, you're gonna go back home. And Amaterachi says it every single day. You are not taking anything with you other than your good deeds and bad deeds.
Yeah.
About your deeds. No money, no cars, no houses, no private jets. You're gonna go back. We're all going to the same place. So, humble yourself. And it's fine to, you enjoy the fruits of, of what you've had. And that's fine. No one's saying don't.
Mm.
But
Don't put it on a pedestal.
exactly.
And what's your relationship with material possessions? Are you someone that's big on that?
It's funny you mention that, because I never used to be.
Yep.
Not to say I am, but if I would go out and say, like there was this beautiful jacket that I saw the other day. There was absolutely no way in my life I would spend that much money on a jacket previously. I won't say how much it was or anything like that, but then I thought to myself, like I think I've worked hard. I know it's a jacket, I could spend that amount of money on, like a nice holiday or anything like that. But no, I think I've worked hard and I've earned it. And it's okay to splurge on yourself.
Mm.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But you don't overdo it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about balance. It's
Of
like,
course.
as you said, you can enjoy the fruit of your labour,
Yeah,
but
that's it.
you don't have to go splurge and make your life about material possessions.
That's right.
You're not going to take it with you, so there's no point.
Yeah.
But enjoy life while you're here.
Exactly.
Coming back to family and
Yeah.
being a dad, people say that, we got to pass on so much to our kids. But what are some of the things that your kids have taught you about life?
Yeah, it's that's a good one actually. One thing, especially looking at, my daughter and my son, sometimes when it's testing, you look at it, and every mum and dad would always tell you, just enjoy it. Enjoy it, even though it pisses you off. Just enjoy it then and there, because they're gonna grow up very quickly. And then it only takes me sometimes to look at a video of, sometimes we're just going through our phone and it's like, oh my gosh, it felt like it was so long ago, but it wasn't. It was just a year ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, like enjoy the moment while it's happening, and try not to be taken away by, a discipline now. Take the iPad off now, or do this and do that. Discipline's good, of course, but yeah, enjoy it. And that's why the kids are with me today.
Yeah.
Came out to Penrith, and I don't want to miss out on a couple of hours, and they're going to be having fun. So you know what? Let's spend the day with them.
Mm.
It's every moment you could spend, your kids, your wife, your mother, your father, and don't forget your friends as well.
This has been an amazing conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are going to learn a lot about you today.
Yeah.
And I feel like you've opened up like you haven't before. And I really appreciate you coming in here
Thank you.
with an open mind and an open heart
Yeah.
to be able to share these things, because I know it's not always comfortable, especially if it's your first time really opening up about this, especially with someone that you haven't met before. So, man, I thank you for that.
No worries, man. I'm just showing people that also it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, nothing's wrong with it. Like, you know, are you gonna judge me on anything? Maybe in your own little way, but that's fine as well. You know, but I want you to judge me on the fact that I've told you I'm in a vulnerable state.
Yeah.
And I've told you, and it's okay. You know, and I want obviously a lot of men and women out there to talk about things. And I think it's really important, especially when it comes to a health professional.
Yeah.
Be trusting. You've made that step to walk into their room. Trust that person that is just about to help you. Don't make us work extra hard on it as well. You know, of course it's not easy, but just let go for that moment and see how much help you can get then and there. And that relationship will go somewhere.
I love that.
Yeah.
We have a closing tradition where the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest without knowing who it is. So the question for you is, okay, what is your biggest fear in life?
My biggest fear in life would be me, obviously, you know, dying and not being able to see my kids and my family, and actually switches off with absolutely no one around me and no recollection of anyone saying anything to me, just being alone like that. Yeah, I think that'll be hard, because I do like being around a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think I like talking to a lot of people. So, but especially your own family, I feel like, if I'm just dying somewhere and not be able to have those last words with them. Yeah.
What's your relationship with death? You know, you said you're good mates with Ahmed Harachi, and he would have opened your eyes a lot to
sure.
death.
Yeah.
What is your relationship with it?
I used to not be scared. Obviously, it's a scary thing.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, growing up, I used to not be scared. But I feel that as humans, we sin. And I feel like as we, you know, I think it's only natural that we sin, but it's important that we repent.
Mm.
And I feel like as I've gotten older and more, you know, struggled through life, I feel like I haven't been able to repent the way that I used to when I was younger. But maybe that's also because maybe I thought I didn't need to repent because I hadn't really sinned that much.
Yeah.
So death has become a bit more scary because, first of all, also it's a bit more realistic now because you're getting older.
You're not that old.
No, but it's like, you know, the probability is that it's going to happen. You know, as a kid, you think
we
you're
don't know.
inevitable, you know?
Yeah.
You know, you can jump off, 10 meters without thinking about anything, on a jumping board or anything like that. But now it's like you got to ask yourself 10 times before you do something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my take on that.
Dr. Ned, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, mate. It's been a pleasure.